reactions, thoughts on these questions as some sort of open discussion, in fact, among us here. Maybe some of you have uploaded some material and already have like quite a clear idea in mind.
The sound of the sea is very, very loud. You know, I'm born in Småland, which is very calm and very silent. And when you're coming out to the sea, it's very loud. I think that was the first thing, that sound was so different. But then that is quite meditative. It comes back.
The first thing that springs to mind is the voice of my grandmother. Is her kind of shouting after me, telling me to slow down. One nice sound that I remember quite recently, about 8 years ago, I first went to the Stockholm archipelagos before I really moved to Sweden properly. And the sound of the crickets on Grinda out there, because we don't have those kind of crickets in the UK. The most awful sound to me is, you know, when somebody takes a balloon and does that on it and makes it squeak. It actually it kind of ties my stomach in knots. It's like the worst, like physically incapacitated by that sound.
In the woods when I play golf, so one good sound is the sound when you actually hit the ball well.
The first time sound that I remember is the sound of the wind, a typical wind like birthplace, very strong and irregular. It's called Bora, and the sound that represents Stockholm to me, the sound is the sound of Tibana, when it starts or it stops.
I was, as a kid, trying to analyze which person is entering the house by listening and analyzing the sound of the keychain or the actual key in the lock. So I was like guessing if it's my mother or my father, or actually my older brother coming home, and I was quite good in that. So.
The first sound I remember, just thinking about it now, the first sound I thought about was the seagulls outside my grandma's window. I listen a lot to my bike and trying to figure out if I need to oil the chain. That's what I usually focus my listening to, at least. The ugliest sound I remember is when my dad would turn on his computer and it would connect to the Wi-Fi. Can anyone make that sound? I don't know how to imitate it, but that was horrible. The sound that represents Stockholm to me, I'm raised in the central part of Stockholm, close to the central station. So to me, it's like the train tracks will sing in different pitches, and it almost sounds like LK compared to Wales song, almost.
Sound which represents Stockholm for me, it's the seagull. I'm not from Stockholm, I'm from Poland. Also the sounds which represent my birthplace is the sound of the the drum, but the old one.
I wanted to add something. You talked about the gravel. I'm from Stockholm, and every time I hear it, because it's so present, like for a long time, so it always gives me flashbacks. Walking home from school in like big winter boots and with the car sound, it's a sound that's connected to that you're going somewhere, or that some kind of expectation maybe. I don't think it's beautiful, but it's not ugly.
I was thinking a lot about the ugly sound question. I hate the fan when I make food and it's on and it's disturbing me, but when I listen to the sound is kind of interesting. It's interesting that so many has said seagulls, because that's also for me a reference from my birthplace of Gothenburg.
I think it's actually my first sonic memory. Sound is actually the sound of a welding machine. My
dad had a workshop where I was like welding a lot, but together with the sound of the welding machine, there's this very distinct smell. The most beautiful sound is when my 1-year-old son is laughing, and then the most ugly sound is this moment after he fell, before he cries, like the silence before the scream. And the longer the silence, the worse he has hurt himself.
My first sound memories are from my parents had a boat and we were staying on the boat a lot. So I was sleeping while they were like going with the boat. A very slow chunk. And I think that also has influenced my music taste. And the worst sound is when musical equipment or sound equipments make feedback sound.
The first sound I remember was my mom humming for me to go to bed. Not singing, but the most intriguing or beautiful sound. I remember quite vividly from raindrops dripping on the window pane. Fantastic sound and rhythm. Ugly sounds, maybe a train brake when it's like really high pitch. It's quite a quiet season at the moment. I live close to next to the forest. But when the leaves are on the trees, asp trees, that sound very soothing. Otherwise, at the moment, I think it's the winter wheels on my bicycle hitting different gravel or surfaces.
First sound I remember, probably connected to my first memory, which I think is me crawling around on the floor of the first house I lived in by a washing machine. Good and bad sound. I don't tend to think of sound that way, really, because I've listened to so much unlistenable things in my life that I'm sort of beyond good and bad. But one thing that's sort of pissing me off at the moment is that they've cleaned out the extractor fan of my cooker, and now it's like super efficient. There's a door out to a balcony, and so when that fan is on, it kind of sucks in the door and makes it buzz. So it's now so efficient that it sort of resonates the architecture of my house, which is annoying.
First sound that I remember is a sound of the summer bugs. It's a typically Asian. I never heard it in Stockholm. The sound represents Stockholm. I think it's ice cream bus which made that. And everyone runs to it. That represents Stockholm. I don't know if anywhere else has that, and if this same song that it plays. I don't know. Someone can answer for me.
At home, my husband, he loves sound, and he play all kinds of sounds all the time. Sometimes it's news, sometimes it's the music, and I have very common music taste, so sometimes I don't like his music, but I have to bear with it. So that's the relationship thing.
The most beautiful sound. We sat on the veranda and it was this pouring like a crazy rain that just hit the concrete there, and it was very soothing sound. I remember. My sonic environment right now is, I've noticed when I go to bed that I keep thinking that someone's playing a bell somewhere, but I think it's something with my hearing happening. It sounds like bells in my ear, so it's not great, but that's what I'm thinking about most of the time. Thanks.
The reason why we are now making this exercise is that when we started the thematic working group to Loud and to Bright, there were different opinions about the perception of brightness when it comes to light and of soothing or less comforting soundscapes when it comes to sound.
So thank you very much, everybody, to sharing your memories, sonic memories. Very nice, interesting to to be here.